Hey guys, it is time to start Bollox Talks and Tangents. It is Thursday at 6:34. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it here tonight. I made it in plenty of time, and then I forgot to do all the things when I got here because we started talking. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry I missed the Mike Davis show / Amanda show tonight.
Amanda show. We worked with the Queen.
Yeah. So you guys. So who won in trivia out of the two of you?
I think Blake pulled it out of the tiebreaker, as a matter of fact.
It was me. So I was down 4-1. They made a miraculous comeback in the tiebreaker. Call me Nick Follow to Lenny's Greg Norman.
Oh, you Greg Norman it? Oh,
easy.
You were up 6.
I'm not a bloody shack.
You were up 6?
Up 5.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was up 4, I think.
Oh, wow.
I had it at 3-2. I don't know where you're making up these numbers from, young Blake.
It's all right. If you say it with confidence, people will believe it.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
How do you think I've gotten to where I am today?
That's exactly.
Look at you, Dad.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. So I am trying to share the show real quickly as we do this because I normally like to do that. And I ask you guys, if you're out there, make sure you share this show. Hopefully we run into something you guys will enjoy tonight. I think we have a really fun topic tonight. So
I got some interesting stuff going on here, yeah.
So we always do word origins, but now we're doing origins of how songs became the songs they became.
Correctamundo.
All right?
Yep.
But
before we do that, why don't we pay a bill or two?
Well, we are going to pay a bill or two, so I want you to start off with Meehan's Irish Pub as I do my share.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's my share?
Yeah.
I already shared. I learned that in kindergarten.
Tell the people about Great Meehan's.
Meehan's is wonderful.
You already got your gift cards, so talk about it.
No, he hadn't this month.
No, I haven't.
I got him in the car.
I'm feeling a little wan.
Yeah, I have him in the car. Actually, and I don't have my car.
See that? All right. Well, then, good thing I'm not worried.
Yeah.
3 bars in 1. And it is the time of year to sit out on the upstairs porch, sit in the backyard. They have live music in the backyard in the afternoons. And then in the evening, there's live music in the pub downstairs. Best Irish pub in St. Augustine. Best menu in town. If you like Irish whiskey, you got too many to choose from. You'd have to spend a month there to try to drink all the Irish whiskey they have, just even in sips and drams, instead of trying to finish every bottle because that would kill you. Food is great,
and we don't want that.
Staff is great. No, we like our listeners. We want to keep them around for a while.
We do.
Yes,
we do.
Food is great. The staff is fabulous. The staff is absolutely fabulous. And the man that owns the place, Reggie, keeps that thing running like a top, clean as can be, constantly upgrading, constantly improving. It's a wonderful thing. And
just a great community leader.
It really
Not
is.
just a great bar leader, but a great community leader. Reggie is, and appreciate him being with us since the very beginning.
Yep. And Team Meehan, you'll see him. You'll see him when they do the Taste of St. Augustine this weekend coming up for Epic. They have a track team or a running team that runs in every 5K, every 2K, every walk, whatever it is. Golf tournament. Team Meehan's out there playing golf.
K.
Yep. Pick a K, any K.
Any K.
Right.
All right.
Murray the K?
Yeah. No, we got to be careful with that one. St. Augustine.
He was a New York DJ.
We're in the South.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've already said that too many times. The letter. There, now you're with me. Now you're with me. All right.
Nobody ever gave me the list.
I know. You need the list.
I keep asking.
Of all the people that need the list, you need the list. All right, St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits. These guys are the best in town as far as, actually, they're best in the country when it comes to tasting tours.
Yeah.
St. Augustine Distillery, bourbon, their rums, their vodkas, their gins, their specialty drinks are amazing. One of the best gift shops in town for sure. Yeah. Get over there. If you haven't taken a tour there, treat yourself and treat your family. Get over to St. Augustine Distillery. Citygate Spirits, I'm telling you right now, this is some of the most unique flavors you're going to have. And you're going to look at it and go, I don't know if that works. And then you taste it and you go, wow, that really works. So they really do an amazing job. Very creative as far as a spirit, goes, they're probably one of the most creative I've ever seen. So, all right.
And it's getting warm enough for my sweet tea and peach vodka, peach whiskey.
Yeah.
Because that is just a magnificent combination.
It's an amazing combination, and I might even want to try it with some lemonade. And
that's what I was just thinking too.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to talk to them because I don't think they do a lemon flavored whiskey or moonshine.
It definitely would be interesting to see a possibility they do like a lemonade whiskey. I know it would be interesting, or maybe like an Arnold Palmer whiskey.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I saw an interesting hack, and I want to try it, but I'm going to have to buy a different filter for it. If you filter alcohol through a Brita filter,
Okay.
it takes all the bite away from the alcohol.
Really?
And I don't know if it takes away the volume.
Does it take the alcohol away from the alcohol?
I don't know. So I mean,
we have an experiment.
We do. We need to do that. I think we need to bring in a Brita.
Do it here.
And do it right here live on air.
And that would be like like when you do the beer goggles with the cops.
Yeah.
All right, we'll start regular. I'll have Julie come drive that day.
We'll see. Well, I got Blake.
I know, and I'll have Julie. Yep.
So we'll have to see how far we can get with that.
I like that idea.
So I wonder if it takes away the hangover too.
Would that be delightful?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't that be delightful?
Yeah. All right.
Can you imagine we put a bottle of whiskey in there and it comes out clear?
All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates. It is tax season. It's coming up really quick. It's this week, right? This next week?
15th, yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't done them, you need to make sure you're getting it done. Might be too late to call Abare, but they'll get you an extension probably.
There you go.
But these guys are the best in town, best CPAs around. I've been using them for decades. Abare, Kresge and Associates. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, right there on Sponsor Row.
Good time.
Amazing museum. So happy the Croce family brought it up here, and Cindy and her crew over there do an incredible job. I can't imagine that company not being a part of downtown anymore. I remember when they got here, I was excited they were here, and they blew away all my expectations with that museum. So
and they keep
if you haven't been there, take your family, get over there to the St. Augustine Pirate Museum. All right, here's a place you can't miss, and that's Kaiser's Deli and Market. Wow.
On my agenda for tomorrow.
What is it, the navel pastrami?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Whew, that navel, I've never tasted any pastrami.
Right from there, yeah.
Any pastrami like that. It's by far the best pastrami you're ever going to find.
Well, most people are eating it from the brisket, and this is from a different cut, and it is just a little fatty, but flavorful. It's delicious. It's great. And he just heats it up beautifully, makes a great Reuben out of it. It is really very, very groovy.
Yeah, super groovy. It's a groovy kind of week after coming out of Billy Strings last week.
That's very true. What a great show that was. Yeah, I might be having lunch at Kaiser's tomorrow, so if you're around, let me know.
Okay, I will. I will let you know.
I can do that for sure.
All right. The Vault and Company, the Pontique.
It's a classy joint.
Our classy Pontique here in town. Brian and his crew over there are so professional. If you have coins, jewelry, handbags, any of those items, they are the experts here in town, and they'll give you the best prices that you're going to find. So I don't know why my comments aren't coming up, so I apologize.
Neither am mine. That's why I'm just checking.
Blake, are you getting comments?
Let me double check for you right here. Let's see. I haven't gotten any comments so far.
Okay, I just sent just a hi crew to see if anybody is out there with us. It's showing me who's all watching, but it's not giving me any comments. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. But last but not least, the Saint Restaurant located on Avenida Menendez, right there on the bayfront. They have the courtyard. They have the balcony, a beautiful inside and outside bar. It's such a good addition. Great addition to St. Augustine. They already had the River and Fort. This is their sister restaurant now, and
as beautiful, if not more so.
Yeah,
build out.
I mean, the build out. They really just knocked it out of the park.
It's an impressive operation. It's an impressive organization, and I get a kick out of it because their first restaurant, if I'm not mistaken, is called River and Post up in Jacksonville, on the St. John's River and Post Avenue, and it's in the ground floor of an office building. So I can only imagine what the build-out would be there compared to the two standalones that they have here. So I'm intrigued by that, but I don't have to go there because they've got two beautiful restaurants in St. Augustine.
No, there's no reason to go. And it used to be St. Augustine was one of those that was struggle with certain culinary. You only had like maybe 2 or 3 where you would be really proud of. But right now, I put our culinary experience above any surrounding city.
I agree.
So there's no reason to go outside of St. Augustine if you're looking for a good meal.
It's really in the 10 years that we've been here, gone from night to day as far as the quality, the caliber of the restaurants here, the variety. Yeah, they've really done very well. So it's very, very impressive. And the Saint, by the way, has, I think, probably the best bread service in town.
Oh, I can tell you right now that is the first thing I order. Is I'm ordering it before I actually sit down. The bread service there is amazing.
Yep.
But I mean, like I said, there's. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of great restaurants that popped up after 2020. We can't say that word.
Right.
I hope you understand the word we can't say, so you don't ask what that word is out loud. Yes.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Not that one.
I'm with you. I really do need that list, though. I'm just saying.
You do need that list. So we're just
repressive society that we live in.
Always putting you on the spot there. All right, so we have some word origins, but our whiskey of the week is Four Roses Single Barrel. We killed the bottle.
All gone. All gone.
You took the rest of the droppings.
It's all gone.
But yeah, we got a lot of soldiers that we put away on this show over the last 2.5 years.
And I get such a kick out of Four Roses because, when I opened my bars and restaurants, 30 some odd years ago, Four Roses was a yellow label in a generic bottle, and it was a rail whiskey. It was a house whiskey. It was a pouring whiskey, and then all of a sudden it became fancy.
Yeah, and now
this is the single barrel.
This is the single barrel.
Yeah,
and I'm
numbered and everything.
If I make an old fashioned, Four Roses is probably one of my go-tos for an old-fashioned. If I'm not using St. Augustine Distillery,
right?
If you're out of town, you don't always have the opportunity to use St. Augustine Distillery bourbon. So, but if I'm making an old-fashioned, I think Four Roses is a lot of people use Buffalo Trace, but you can't get that everywhere. But so when I think of Four Roses, it kind of leans me towards an old fashioned.
Right, and it's a good mixing whiskey. It's a good straight whiskey. It's a good gift giving whiskey. If you want to give somebody a gift, a single barrel. It's not overly expensive. It's fairly priced. It's not going to have to worry about tariffs because it's made right here in the good old U.S. of A.
Yeah, well, most bourbons are.
Right.
So there's some Japanese whiskeys that might be in trouble, but
Suntory in particular for sure. Yeah.
And some tequilas might be in trouble.
Ooh, yeah.
So so there might be a lot of new bourbon drinkers.
There you go.
So I think Crown Royal's from Canada. So
it is.
That one's.
So is Seagram's.
Yeah. So
Crown Royal, Seagram's, you betcha.
I'm glad I like bourbon.
Yeah, me too.
Geez, then in that case, Canada ginger ale is about to go up as well. Then
Canada Dry.
Canada Dry, Seagram's ginger ale.
I thought they were made in Jacksonville. I think they have a bottling company in Jacksonville. So
I'm sure they do.
I think we're going to be okay. All right, word origins. So we're doing music.
Music.
Did you have a music word origin?
I do.
Okay.
And it is just great because it will lead me on a tangent that will curl your toes. It's more timely than not.
So, did I take my boots off?
I think you probably should.
Okay, I'm taking my boots off.
Strike up the band.
All right, here we go. Boots are off. I'm ready. Curl the toes.
So, my word origin is strike up the band.
Why do you have a hole in your sock? Or is that paint?
It's paint. That means Rebecca had these socks on. So.
There you go. Hey, she's doing chores. Good for her.
Is there a hole in this one?
No.
Okay.
There's no paint on that one.
You're safe. So, strike up the band or strike up. The term strike up came about in the 1562.
Okay.
You would strike up something. You would strike up a conversation. You would strike your sails. And it was to start something or begin something. And then that morphed into strike up the band, as in, musically, you're gonna turn the orchestra on, or people are gonna start singing. Well, it turns out, and I love this part of it. In 1927, George and Ira Gershwin wrote a musical called "Strike Up the Band."
Okay.
And they wrote the music and lyrics, and a guy by the name of George S. Kaufman, who wrote a lot of very, very funny shows on Broadway, a lot of comedies, a lot of great stuff, wrote the book for it. And in 1927, the story was based, and it was still, there's still a lot of lingering World War I memories going around. And in 1927, the story went that there was a cheesemonger in the United States, a man who made cheese in the United States, who convinced the government to, believe it or not, put a tariff on Switzerland's cheese on Swiss cheese. Tariff.
Oh,
that's why I thought that was so timely today.
I've heard of those.
Right.
Yeah.
So
they're suspended right now.
Well, yeah, except for the 10% that isn't. But be that as it may,
and then
Switzerland declared war on the United States because of the tariffs on the cheese. Well, the show didn't go anywhere. It started in Philadelphia. It bombed on Broadway, and then they resurrected the show in 1930 and changed some of the premise of the show. Instead of it being a tax on cheese, the guy who was the prominent was Horace J. Fletcher, was a chocolatier. And they changed the whole thing so that the tariffs became part of a dream sequence that he had. So in the show, he had a
very Dallas-like.
Exactly, he had a dream sequence. Was it real or St. Elsewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a whole, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They all use that as a trope.
I'm pretty sure there was something ahead with Quantum Leap also.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
So they changed it from Swiss cheese to Swiss chocolate.
Okay.
And they put the tariff on. And again, in his dream, Switzerland declares war on the United States because of the tariffs on the chocolate. And the way we won this war is we were able to decode their coded yodels. Their yodel became, their code, sort of like the Navajo code talkers.
I was going to say they couldn't crack our code.
No, so they did that, and that's how we beat Switzerland in the chocolate tariff wars.
Got it. I got it. So that was like Enigma before there was Enigma.
Exactly. And then in 1940, just to keep going with this, because far be it for me to not beat a dead horse until it gets back, and I ride it to the...
Here comes the tangent.
Exactly. Those weren't the tangents from it. 1940, they made a movie out of it, Strike Up the Band. Completely different premise, completely different theme, same title, and that had your favorite young couple at the time, Let's Get a Barn and Put on a Show, Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland.
Wow.
Yeah, 1940.
Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could post him up in basketball.
I think so.
I think you could.
I think I could.
Yeah.
How many wives did he have?
I don't know.
I think he had about 8, maybe 7.
That's the ones he did legally.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And he started out as such an adorable young boy next door.
Yeah. So what was the Catholic movie he did when he was a young boy?
It was 8. Yeah, 8 wives.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
8 wives.
Do you know how many children he had?
I'm gonna say
officially.
I'm gonna say 17.
Lenny?
I got nothing.
9.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
So that's not as bad as I thought.
Right. Well, he kept it to 1 with each, except for somebody who went back for seconds.
Well, he didn't say those kids were with his wives.
Fair point. Fair point. But yeah, so that was pretty good.
So Paul Revere has him beat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was he 17?
Yeah, something like that.
17 with 2 wives over the span of his.
I think he had 9, and then he had 6 more, I think, or 7 more.
That's one tired lady.
All right. So my word origin is the word boogie. Music and boogie and stuff like that.
Just keep boogie till you can't boogie no more.
Do you know where it came from?
Boogie woogie?
It did. It was boogie woogie, and then it was boogie woogie blues. Right. In the 1920s, during the Roaring '20s and stuff, is when it was brought to the U.S.
Right.
But boogie actually came from West Africa.
Okay.
All right, and it meant to dance. And
still does.
It was adopted with the boogie woogie blues in the blues time during the speakeasies and all those things, and now we have boogie nights and everything. Everybody knows what a boogie is, and not just the boogie that comes out of your nose, but the boogie to move your feet. So, wait, what do you got over there? You have a look of concern, Lenny.
No.
Okay.
I just like to multitask when I have to deal with technology.
Oh, okay. You had a look of concern that concerned me, like someone kicked your dog or something.
No, we're all good.
All right. So, Blake, you're doing okay in there? It sounded like you were having trouble with your sound or something. Were you concerned about that?
Can you hear me now? Can check? Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. No. I just saw in the comments that, everyone heard you okay, and it sounded like you kind of had some concerns with that.
Oh, no. I'm fine. I'm
okay,
good.
I didn't know if it was reading wrong or something, and I missed something in there.
No. But I'm totally fine. Comments work. So, everyone, I am doing okay.
All right. So, our title, or our subject tonight, theme, subject, whatever it is the story behind the songs.
Correct.
All right, the story behind the songs. And
I'm just laughing because that sounds like an MTV show.
yeah, it really does.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't they do that? Behind the scenes or something like that?
Crips, it came on right behind Crips. All right, so I have one that goes back to the 1700s. I don't know if you have any that went that far back.
I didn't go that far back.
And I can tell you this song is probably sung by more than any other song that I can think of in a lot of different countries, and it's the song Amazing Grace. So the song Amazing Grace, it's not so much the words. It's a great song. It's my grandmother's favorite song, always was her favorite song. Nana if anybody sang, she would always say, "Hey, do you know Amazing?" She would always request this song. So it's special in my heart, for sure. But I was reading about the story of Amazing Grace. Do you know the story of the song Amazing Grace?
I don't think that I do. All I know is it's one of the few things that people can actually tolerate on bagpipes.
Yeah. No, I mean, almost any genre, it's been redone almost in every possible level, fast, slow, any type of accent you can throw in there, because the lyrics are so strong. It's always going to hold up the test of time.
Saved a wretch like me.
Yeah, I mean, in the Civil War, both sides sang it. During the Civil Rights, the marchers would sing it. When Mandela got out of jail, that's the song they sang. So, I mean, I don't know of a more impactful song that I can tell a story with. And how the story began was with an awful human being. A horrible, horrible human being. Saved a wretch like me. Okay? John Newton was a slave trader. He was from England. He was a slave trader, and he had he was out with a ship full of slaves and got hit by a storm. All right, that storm hit him. He dropped to his knees and he prayed, "Hey, I'll turn my life around if you save me." He made it through the storm.
Okay.
He was good to his word.
Well, that's nice. And
became a preacher. A very prominent preacher, and he started writing hymns, and I think the original song or the original hymn was like "Expectations of Faithful" or something along those lines. But in 1772 is when John Newton totally converted and probably wrote the song that, I mean, besides "Happy Birthday," I don't know of another song that's sang more than that, but. Because
certainly at almost every funeral.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine another song that's played in more funerals or anything like that. So, I when I read that story, I was like, oh my gosh, that completely makes sense when you go back and go through the words of where he was in his life, and but here's a guy, and then he became. Almost an abolitionist against the slave trade that he was a part of. So he kind of, that's where that "Save the Wretch Like Me" is like, wow, that one moment in his life.
Right.
And most people don't live up to that moment. Most people, they do that and go, that was just luck.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, that, how many people in a life or death situation have made promises to their gods and, said, "Save me and I will, I'll repent, I'll do this, I'll give charity, I'll be a good person." And how many of them actually keep to their word?
Yeah.
So it's nice that he did.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, cut that deal, they survive, and they go, just kidding, my fingers are crossed.
Well, and that's where I have a little bit of problem with religion. It's you can't live one life and then on Sunday think it's all good.
Right.
Or live one life and then the last day, even though the Bible says, if you ask for forgiveness, you get it. Sorry, I have a little bit of a problem with that.
Yeah.
I just want people, which is in everyone's religion, is to live by the golden rule. Just do unto others. And that's in every religion. Just be kind. It's not hard to be kind. So that song to me was, when I was doing my research, was the one that I felt was the most impactful of the songs that I researched.
Okay.
So Lenny's over here trying not to die. So
I would appreciate that I don't.
Yeah, Lenny, we prefer you didn't. I mean, and I don't want to have to sing Amazing Grace.
I don't want you to have to break in a new co-host.
To you tonight.
Thank you.
So,
I would appreciate not.
Because we don't have another flag anywhere. So
Right.
I'd have to go to Long Beach, get another. We had to cover up the Ireland flag.
Right.
When you pinch hit for Derek.
That's it.
So, all right. Do you have one, or you want me to go again?
Well, I'll go to one because I've been sort of talking to Bobby here. Oh, I got a lot of them.
Okay, yeah.
But
give me one.
Bobby is someplace in, I don't know, Bakersville. So I said, no. We need to talk about Baskerville. So one of the songs that I have, I couldn't let this go without finding the genesis for a couple of Grateful Dead songs. Mm-hmm. And I have Terrapin Station, but the one that's now appropriate for both Bobby and I in this conversation is, and again, timely, because what are they trying to resurrect? So that, something big and ferocious will then come back from being extinct and eat us? Mm-hmm. The dire wolf?
Yeah.
Well, the Grateful Dead in 1970, Working Man's Dead, did a song by Robert Hunter and Jerry Garcia called Dire Wolf. And I'm going, gee, I wonder where that came from. And it's, it's about, the wolf is 600 pounds of sin, sitting at my window. All I said was, come on in. Mm-hmm. And Robert Hunter wrote that song after watching, and Bobby, this is for you, my brother, The Hounds of the Baskervilles.
Okay.
And that's where he got the inspiration to write Dire Wolf.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So it kind of a kind of just a switch of the words, and that takes me to my next song.
Excellent.
is Country Roads.
Take You Home.
Yeah. So the writers of that were Denver wrote, kind of finished off the song.
Okay. But
the writers of that were also a couple, man and woman, that made up Starland
vocal band.
And they were going to a family reunion, and they were kind of just going back and forth and passing the time. And the road they were on was Clubber Road. So Take Me Home, Clubber Road didn't sound that good.
Right, okay.
All right. And they were headed to Massachusetts. Take Me Home, Clubber Road, Massachusetts. Didn't sound that good. So they threw in West Virginia. Neither one of the two of them have ever been to West Virginia. All right. And they were writing the song for Johnny Cash.
Really? Okay.
And John Denver, they opened for John Denver, at a club in Maryland. So where they were from. And John basically says, hey, you guys got anything? And the gentleman goes, yeah, I got this song I'm writing for Johnny Cash. See what you think. And all they had was like one verse of it, and they changed it to West Virginia. They changed it to Country Roads, right. Take Me Home, and they basically finished writing the song. Well, 2 nights later, after they all worked on it and stuff like that, 2 nights later, people were calling for an encore for John Denver, and he says, well, I have this thing that we're kind of working on. He didn't really even know the words. He had to tape the words to his mic stand to sing the words, and they played that song, and it was a 5-minute standing ovation.
Wow. And
it became his first #1 song, and it was pretty wild, like how it morphed into one of the greatest country songs. And it was supposed to be written for Johnny Cash, is who they intended it for. Mm. But the two of them happened to be playing at the same venue, and one was opening for the other, and Afternoon Delight came on.
I was going to say, Australian vocal bands claim to fame as Afternoon Delight.
Afternoon Delight came along like 5 or 6 years.
Afternoon Delight.
So that's how Country Roads came about.
Wait, hold on. But
Blake, into the mic. Couldn't hear you. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Jeez, what's going on with my audio? It's just, you were saying Afternoon Delight, so I was about to say pew.
Pew. Yeah. So Anchorman. So what you got, Lynn? Lenny's trying to multitask. He's failing. He's failing miserably.
Bobby. Hi,
Bobby, stop talking
Bobby,
to Lenny.
Get me in trouble. Don't you worry.
Stop
you
talking
keep going.
to Lenny.
All right. Nobody's in the Garden of Eden. I'll answer the question. It's easier than typing.
Yes.
Okay.
You
So
just answer out loud this way towards the camera,
right,
and not towards your phone, Lenny.
Fine. See, Bobby.
We don't even need to give him a list.
Now I'm getting tied up.
Yeah.
All right. So
we're not on radio, Lenny.
But I have a face for it.
You did. So do I.
All right. So we talked about this at trivia the other night, and it's funny because I had seen a reference to it a couple of days before that. And the song is the 1970 hit by Eric Clapton or Eric Clapton and Derek and the Dominoes.
Yes.
Layla. And there's a lot of, back and forth on this one too. So Eric Clapton and Jim Gordon wrote it. Apparently, the piano riff in it was done by Rita Coolidge, who was Jim Gordon's girlfriend at the time.
Right.
But that's immaterial to the origin of the genesis of the thing. So it was based on a 17th century Persian literature love story that was then updated in the 12th century, and it's the story of Layla and Majnun, Majnun. And it was a story of unrequited love between those two Persian peoples. What's interesting about this is that inspired Eric Clapton to write it because he was longing from afar for Pattie Boyd, who would eventually become his wife. Mm-hmm. But before that, she had to divorce George Harrison, who was her husband at the time.
Yes.
So Eric Clapton was in love with Pattie Boyd while she was still married to George Harrison, born on February 25th, my birthday, just for those of you scoring at home. Mm-hmm. I'm alive, he's not. Sorry, George. And after their divorce, Clapton married. Hi there. After their divorce, my voice doesn't carry.
I'm watching the little dial, and
Okay.
You kept getting like the little bump thing got lower and lower.
Oh, all right.
So,
sorry.
see the little green thing there?
I do. Well, without my glasses, I can pretend. I can pretend that it's there. But then George Harrison and Pattie Boyd got divorced, and Eric Clapton swooped right in and married her.
Yeah.
So that was good. Do you have an Eric Clapton song we may segue into, my friend?
I have an Eric Clapton song, but we're going to hold that until after we talk about our amazing sponsor.
Oh, I like amazing sponsors.
So I have a cliffhanger.
Oh,
all right. So we're
come back after commercial.
We're going to talk about the Saint Restaurant, best restaurant around, right there on Avenida Menendez. Get over there and give them a chance.
Do you know that I counted every one of the layers in my 100-layer lasagna?
Mm-hmm.
I got up to 37.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
And then you got bored.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, the lasagna's great.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's an interesting dish. I like the way they make that. It's delicious. The sugo on that is real good.
I did the lamb, I think, last time I was there, but the bread. Whew,
Yep.
The bread's over the top. All right. The Vault and Company, the Pontique here locally on US 1 or Ponce de Leon Boulevard. Get over there, give them a chance. If you're looking for a present for your loved one, get over there, check it out. They have some amazing stuff. Rebecca's found some really, really cool pieces in there.
Nice.
And it's really just a wonderful place. Tell Brian over there that we sent you from Bollox Talks and Tangents. All right, Kaiser's Deli and Market. Kurt.
Lunch tomorrow.
Yeah. So lunch tomorrow for you. We're going to try and make it.
Okay.
I have a couple meetings in the morning, and I'll try and make it over there for sure.
You tell me when, and I will adjust my schedule to fit yours, because I am a man o' leisure.
Yes. Try the Bollox. Blake's favorite is the White Street. You kind of throw together whatever you put together.
I go make my own. I'm allowed behind the counter.
Yeah.
But try the pastrami. Try if you like a Reuben, if you like a little spicy, if you like hometown fun, try the daddle Reuben, because you got your daddle sauce from your daddle pepper in the Thousand Island dressing and the pastrami. You're not going to go wrong.
All right. Yeah, it's a wonderful place. Great people over there. Jules and Kurt are amazing. All right, and you're okay. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, over 800 original artifacts. They have one of the 3 Jolly Rogers. If you haven't been there, treat yourself, treat your family. Get over there to St. Augustine Pirate Museum. All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates. Billy Abare, he's my man. He's been with me for a long, long time, keeps me out of trouble. If he can do my taxes, he can do anybody's taxes.
I would think so.
So Abare, Kresge and Associates, appreciate you guys so much. Another group we appreciate everything they do in the community. What a professional business they run, and that's Meehan's Irish
great.
Pub. 3 bars in one, great music, great food, amazing selection of Irish whiskeys.
And I've been remiss because I don't think it's been 2 weeks that we've gone without mentioning the Irish cream.
Oh, yes.
The house-made Irish cream whiskey, the Irish whiskey, is just, it's dessert.
Yes.
It's the easiest way to say it. It's dessert. It's
so
great.
smooth. And
Fresh
so
every
creamy.
day. It's rich. It's
incredible.
delicious. Yep.
It's incredible. All right, St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits. We talk about these guys every week, and you just have to get over there and experience it yourself. If you're downtown, hit the Citygate Spirits right there if you're on Sponsored Row, right after you go to the Pirate Museum, and then do the after at Meehan's. And if you need dinner, then go to the Saint.
Right.
So you can do
Just walk down the block.
Yeah. We're covered on Avenida Menendez, that's for sure. All right, and St. Augustine Distillery ranked #1 tasting tour in the country. All right, we were talking about Eric Clapton, and Eric Clapton. The song that I remember Eric Clapton the most is Tears in Heaven. And the story behind that is more heartbreaking.
Very sad story.
Than people probably have heard that song. And this is one of those times where I wish we had ASCAP and where we could play segments of the song where now when you listen to the song, this one's going to hit you a little harder.
Right. You'll understand what the poignancy of it.
Yeah, and Blake, do you know the song "Tears from Heaven" in Heaven?
I haven't listened to much of Eric Clapton, so
Yeah, and this one's one of those songs because I believe it's Layla, and this one's his 2 top songs. But this song is about his 4-year-old son, who I don't know if it was a hotel or it was at their apartment.
I think it was their apartment.
I think it was
in
their
Manhattan.
apartment.
Yeah.
And you talked about the couple already. Fell out of a window to his death, and it's the story of how he's managing and getting through that as a father, and sending love to heaven. So I mean, to me, it's one of those. I mean, there's some songs that really, if you get into the lyrics of it, you go, oh wow.
And the only good thing you can say about it is made a whole lot more awareness for window guards in apartments and things, that you can't open them, or there's a little railing in the back of it so that children wouldn't fall out. Because sadly, Eric Clapton's son was not the first child for this to happen to.
Yeah,
he was just probably the most prominent.
In all our hotels now, we have the window guards.
Good, thank you.
Where it gets blocked at like, I think like 4 inches or 5 inches.
Right.
And people are like, why can't we open our window? Well, because
Eric Clapton's kid fell out.
Because there's kids
and
that
so
stay.
Did other ones.
Kids that stay in our hotel.
Right.
And very depressed people.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, sad but true. But that song is one of those where it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. So, all right, you want me to keep on the sad note, or you want me to move up to a?
No, I got a fun one.
Okay, let's hear a fun one.
So 1985, and it's funny because Blake brought it up earlier in a different context. Dire Straits, Money for Nothing.
Yep.
So apparently, where the lyrics came from, a lot of the lyrics in that are direct quotes from Mark Knopfler eavesdropping in a electronics store on 2 salesmen having a conversation, and Mark Knopfler's hanging around in back of them and listening to them talking about they're bitching about life while they're watching MTV, and they're going, "Look at those yo-yos! That's the way you do it. You play guitar on MTV, ain't not working. You do it, it's money for nothing, and you get chicks for free."
Yeah.
And Mark Knopfler said, I can run with that.
That's a great quote.
I can run with that.
Yeah.
And then they went on to say, we got to install the microwave ovens and custom kitchens, deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. And he's just writing this down as these guys are going on.
So he's in the back of like a Radio Shack or something?
Yeah, probably like a Crazy Eddie or a big box store. For those of you who don't know, Crazy Eddie Antar was the guy who was giving it all away. It was a
Wasn't ever in Florida.
No, the new music stores in New York.
Okay.
In New York City and the boroughs. And the guy was nuts. And his ads were nuts. And his prices were nuts.
Was he really nuts, or you think he gets home and goes, whew, and totally Al Bundy's it?
No, I think he could have been nuts. And by the way, he ended up getting clinked up for, tax evasion, et cetera, and so forth.
Gotcha.
So, he was a good businessman until he was not a good businessman.
Until he wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah. That was Crazy Eddie, and I think his last name was Antar, yeah. But that's where Mark Knopfler got the lyrics to that stuff. And just to tie it all back together, when we moved down here in 2015, the first concert we saw in what I consider to be one of the top 3 or 4 greatest music venues in the world, the St. Augustine Amphitheater.
I've heard of that place.
Was Mark Knopfler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not Dire Straits, but Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
What a great show. What a great guitar player.
Yeah.
It was fabulous, yeah.
Very impressive.
That was my introduction to the amp.
Very, very impressive guitar player. Who do you see? And I think we've had this conversation because I think Buddy Guy is the greatest guitar player I've seen play live. Now we talked about Clapton and we talked.
Okay.
We talked.
I got a lot of them. I've seen Clapton. I've seen Jerry Garcia probably 80 times.
Yeah.
So it's hard to not say Jerry Garcia. And I got news for you. In all honesty, John Mayer is an excellent guitar player. He's a great blues guitar player. I've seen B.B. King.
Yeah,
I saw B.B. King when he was. I see B.B. King when he was young.
I saw B.B. King. He had to sit down in Lucille, and they were having trouble with the sound at the Florida Theater, and he was not happy.
No, I can imagine.
He was not happy. They never really got him dialed in, so it kind of stole away from the concert. But I did get to see B.B. King. But, I mean, I was blown away by Buddy Guy, and he does a segment in his show. He goes, when I play with Clapton, I play like this. And he sounds just like Clapton. When I play with Hendrix, this is what I taught him. I mean, it's a pretty wild show.
And he's downright adorable in his polka dots. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and he when he steps off stage, he's having his cognac off stage on a velvet pillow. So every time it goes empty, his assistant pours cognac's there, pours it in the glass. He comes over when he walks off stage. If you've seen him live,
I have a number of times.
When he steps off stage right, house left. That's what he's doing.
And, I was pleased to see, because we saw him at the Amp, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. And he's in his 80s, and he still comes off stage and plays guitar in the audience. And he's been doing that every time I've ever seen him. So it's really pretty wild that he still does that. Well, he's just so adorable, and he's so talented.
Well, his first time here, we were still fairly new, and we were kind of getting to a relationship with our security company and stuff like that. And we said, okay, here's what he's going to do. And they went to the wrong side of the stage. And the steps are over here.
I was going to say, you can see where the steps are. Right.
But they didn't put it together. And then they had to run through people to get to him as he's stepping off with no security. And I'm panicking. I'm like, Yeah,
but he's one of those people that people would just,
they give him the space.
They give him the respect, absolutely.
They give him the space.
Nobody's going to be pawing at Buddy Guy. But you still got, today you've got Derek Trucks, probably one of the best guitar players going. His wife, Susan Tedeschi, is right up there. And Bonnie Raitt is still, I think, one of the best guitar players out there.
What about Prince?
I don't know his music, or I haven't seen him live to speak to it, but everybody who knows thinks he's one of the better guitar players that's ever been out there.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and I had an opportunity to see him in Vegas, and he was just getting beaten pillar to post. It was a big ticket. He was playing at the Rio, and that's when word was getting around that he was being mercurial. And he would come on, And if he was cranky, he'd walk off stage after 20 minutes. You know, it was maybe a 90-minute show, maybe a 60-minute show.
Yeah.
And for what they were asking for the tickets, I said, you know, I don't want to risk
you gotta-
having,
you
I
gotta
don't want
do.
the disappointment.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
sadly, I never saw him live.
Yeah, because my guys from the '80s are Prince and Michael, and those
Yeah.
are the two I never got to see.
Right.
You know, but you know, I was
But I love Prince's music.
I was in high school when Purple Rain came out,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow, this guy's got some.
Yeah, I think
skills.
When Doves Cry is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there's some great.
Yep. He's done a lot. Yeah.
So I like Raspberry Beret is probably my favorite of all the Prince songs.
And then you can get your engine running with Little Red Corvette.
Yeah. So, I always when that song came out, I was like, I'm gonna have a Corvette. The other was like Party Like It's 1999. I was like, wow, that is so far away. And now I say 1999. You know what I say? Wow, that is so far away. So, yeah, we're further away from 1999 right now than we were when that song came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, think
Hard
about
to
that.
figure. Yeah, we were talking about tortoises on the evening show earlier, Blake, Amanda, and I, and they've got two close to 100-year-old tortoises in the Philadelphia Zoo that just gave birth to, I guess, 4 baby tortoises.
So you're
And-
making me not feel bad because I have a 5-year-old now.
Exactly. Well,
Oh, okay.
that came up in context too, as a matter of fact,
okay.
because it was going. I'm going, and Amanda said, and they got those tortoises, or one of them, in the 1930s. So we're looking at each other, going, so every handler that's taking care of them is more than likely dead by now. Mm-hmm. And then it's how parents who are older and have their first child, or they have a child, and they start trying to do the math. So when my kid's in high school, when my kid graduates college, I'll be 117. I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine if the two tortoises are having a conversation?
Yeah.
When these kids get into high school, we'll be 200.
Yeah.
It's like, holy
get
cow.
going.
Right, holy cow.
Yeah. All right. I have a couple other ones. I have a fun one. I talked about Michael and the song Billie Jean. Yeah. So Billie Jean, one of his more popular songs, MTV time. Everybody remembers him walking on the lights and stuff like that. I think I've told you the backstory, and I might have told it before, but I think it's one of those funniest things. Do you know who Billie Jean is?
Well, she just turned 81 and got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Oh, not Billie Jean King?
Not Billie Jean King,
Okay.
not the tennis player.
Maybe, but enlighten me if I don't.
All right, so when Michael was a young man, he played with his brothers on the Jackson 5. All right, they were older, young men on the road, girls kind of throwing themselves at these, the groupies and stuff like that.
Tito.
And the brothers, his older brothers, called all the girls that came backstage Billie Jeans.
Okay.
And if they slept with them, it's Billie Jean, not my girl. She's just a girl, And that's what Billie Jean came from. It was what his brothers called all the girls that came backstage.
Coupes, yeah.
Yeah. When you hear the song again, you're
Right.
like, aha. And it makes sense.
Okay.
So, but that was when Michael was a young man. He that was the callback he did.
Troy, that was so germane to this conversation.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was good.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You pitch, I swing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
baby.
no.
Yeah.
I was trying to throw a Joe Jackson joke in there, but. Yeah. All right. So what else you got?
We did Layla. I'll pass on Temperance Station. We did Mark Knopfler. What do we got over here? Here, this is an interesting. All right, I'll do this one first because it's a band that I never listened to, and it's, one of the more popular and better bands kicking around. 1992.
Okay.
Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana.
Okay.
Okay, you know how that came about?
No.
Okay, so at the time, Kurt Cobain was dating a woman by the name of Tobi Vale, T-O-B-I Vale, who was a bandmate of Catherine Hanna. Catherine Hanna was the lead singer for a band called Bikini Kill. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kurt Cobain was dating this woman, Tobi Vale, and apparently the two of them were canoodling and fell asleep on a couch. And this woman, Catherine Hanna, comes home, and she looks at him, and she scribbles on the wall above them, "Smells like Teen Spirit, Kurt smells like Teen Spirit. Mm-hmm. He woke up, thought it was a compliment, and ran with it to write the song. Okay. Turns out that Teen Spirit was the deodorant that Toby Vai was using, and it's used and marketed by teenage girls.
Oh.
And he didn't associate that, and this was,
He probably borrowed that deodorant.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering how many teenage girls use deodorant as teenage girls. Maybe more than I know. I'm not a teenage girl, so I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But that was it. Teen Spirit was a deodorant for teenage girls, and this woman wore it, and that's how you got the smells like Teen Spirit.
Well, I mean, she thought he
Smelled like
right. it, so he probably borrowed his girl's deodorant and probably did actually smell like Teen Spirit.
That's what I'm thinking. Absolutely, it was probably accurate. They could have been hugging and snuggling, and she could have rubbed off on him literally.
Yeah, usually that involves more sweat.
Okay, well, not if it was a good deodorant.
No, well, not if it was a good hug.
There you go. Gets a little schwitzy in there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So that was that. I got a real kick out of that one because
All right. Speaking of him taking like a suggestion like that, or like probably in a semi-conscious state.
Right.
The song "Yesterday" by the Beatles. Have you heard the story of how Paul came up with this?
No.
All right.
Never been a big Beatles guy.
Paul dreamt
I'll get
the melody.
Waves.
Yeah. Well, you still got to give them their props.
Oh, I do.
I mean,
I do.
You can't like pass on what they did in that quick time frame of 5 years.
No.
So the song "Yesterday," one of the more memorable songs of all time. Paul actually dreamt the melody to "Yesterday," and it was so vivid to him, he thought he unconsciously plagiarized it from someplace else. Okay. So he almost didn't even release it. He was like, I don't know where this came from. And he's like, I dreamt it, and it was stuck in my head. And he felt like it was someone else's song. And it wasn't until everyone else kind of, like he did the song, and everyone else convinced him, okay, we need to really make this work. But it was one of those that he had convinced himself that he unconsciously stole it from somebody else.
Wow. So, that was sort of like the premise of the movie Yesterday, where the guy wakes up and he's the only one who remembers the Beatles, and he becomes a worldwide phenomenon by using the Beatles songs that nobody knew. So I haven't seen the movie, but I believe that's the premise of the movie. But more true to life, somebody in England in the last month or so found a cassette on a shelf in his store.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about this?
Yeah. You actually told me about it, I think, last week.
The guy finds a cassette on a shelf on his store, and he just said it was a Beatles bootleg. He wasn't concerned about it. He left it there. It had been there for years and years and years and years. And one day he said, you know what, let me just play it. It turns out he plays it. It was an audition tape the Beatles made on a New Year's Eve, I would think probably in the early 60s. There were 2 or 3 original songs on the tape and a bunch of Motown covers.
Wow.
And the guy said, ah! He was pretty psyched when he found that. I don't know what's become of it, but yeah, there was 3 originals and a bunch of Motown covers.
Wow. And
and it was an audition tape.
With the new technology, they'll be able to filter that and make it just absolutely amazing.
Pristine, for sure. Yeah.
So, absolutely amazing. All right. One of the iconic songs of all time is American Pie. Mm-hmm. All right, I know you know the story of American Pie, and it is said, even though there was never any written, that the airplane was called Miss America Pie, and it was nicknamed that. But there's equal, against, and for that. But the intent of the song, which was written 9 years after.
Okay.
9 years after the actual accident.
From Clear Lake, yeah.
Yeah, the day the music died was the story of the airplane that crashed
took down some serious people.
Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper.
Yep.
So I know you have more stories to add to that. So what is some of the things that you want to add to that? That Bye
Miss American
Pie was the name of the airplane.
Yeah, I tried to find it because you and I have spoken about this a lot on a lot of different concepts and stuff, and I can't find any validation for the name of the plane to be Miss American Pie, or that there was a name for the plane.
Yeah, the only thing I found was on a couple of them, it said it was the nickname of the plane.
Okay.
but there was no validation that anyone actually called it that.
Right.
It's just Don McLean might have taken some liberties.
Yeah, well, he's entitled.
Yeah.
It was a hit forever, and it still is.
Yeah, no. I mean,
it's a fabulous song, and
if you want to kill 7 minutes.
Oof, yeah, well, but the interesting thing about that is, Richie Valens sadly won a coin toss to get the seat on the plane, as opposed to
Waylon Jennings.
Yep, who was, because they're all sick because they're doing this tour in the middle of February, in the middle of the United States. It was balls ass cold, and
the heater went out on the
their
bus.
tour bus, exactly.
Yeah. And they had a 4-seater Cessna or something, and it was the pilot and 3 people had seats. And
the pilot was a young kid. I don't think he was over 22. He might have been 19, but the pilot was really young.
Well, and then there's also a mixed story of Waylon might have actually won the coin toss and still just said, "I'll just go ahead and take the seat."
Yeah,
go ahead and take the seat. So,
so
that's still up for grabs.
And
also,
we'll never know because I don't know that there's many people involved in that at all that are alive. Waylon Jennings, I don't think he's still alive, is he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. But boy, I did watch The Highwaymen the other day on PBS.
There's no way he's alive.
No, he was old. He was old when he was a highwayman.
He'd have to be 100. Blake, can you check?
He could be a tortoise.
When Waylon died. Willie's still alive.
Willie's still alive. He's 91. God bless him. But I will say that I watched a PBS.
What was his first name?
Waylon Jennings.
Waylon Jennings. Sorry, my bad.
Was on The Highwaymen, which is Waylon, Willie.
He died in 2002.
Chris Christopherson, and I'm blanking on the fourth one. Who
Tom
was?
Petty, wasn't it?
No. That was the Traveling Wilburys.
Wilburys, okay.
Yeah, no. This was Waylon, Willie, Chris Christopherson, and might have been Hank Williams. Who was the fourth member?
Johnny Cash?
Thank you very much. It was Johnny Cash. There you go. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was one, and it was great to see them, and it was a big band too. It was the four of them up front with their guitars, and then there was another whole backing band with them.
All right. I have one more that I want to get to.
Okay.
Candle in the Wind.
Okay.
So, and this was actually, I think it made it to number one twice for 2 different people.
Right.
So the first time it was for Marilyn.
Correct.
And then the second time it was for Princess Di.
Correct.
So I think that's the only song on my list that has been given to 2 different people. So
makes sense.
Can you think of any other one that was out there? So
not off the top of my head, I'll cogitate on it. But he wrote it for Marilyn before Princess Di even was Princess Diana.
Yes.
So
it was originally for Marilyn, 100%. But when he re-released it,
right,
and I think he sang it at her funeral.
Yeah, I mean because they had become good friends between all the AIDS work that she had done. Yeah. Exactly. She was a force of nature. She was a good-hearted person, who knew what was right and what was wrong. Mm-hmm. And somebody who did more to take some of the stigma away from AIDS at the time, which is, and there still may be in some homophobic or less educated parts of the world now, because AIDS is still it's a tragedy in Africa still. But when she was hugging children who had AIDS, people, their heads were exploding. How can she do that? She's not wearing, and she was, the woman was compassionate beyond belief.
Yeah. When I think of AIDS research and when people really started, because I was very impressionable in the 80s, obviously, and there was true fears about blood pathogens and all these things. But yeah, Magic Johnson's the one who really turned the corner on that.
Right.
And it was like, oh my gosh, this is everybody.
Right.
It wasn't just in the private clubs or in the freaks and stuff like that of the world that people kind of locked their brains in on. Magic took the villain away from AIDS.
Right.
And I don't know of another person that would have pulled it that far away from, with his smile
Right.
and I mean, I wasn't even a Lakers fan, and I still love Magic.
Because even Freddie Mercury couldn't do that.
No.
And look at Freddie Mercury. I mean, he's
Yeah, one of the greatest vocalists of all time.
and beloved by bajillions. But when it first started, AIDS was limited to stigmatized communities. It was Africans. It was intravenous drug users. It was homosexuals. And it was Haitians, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And those were the populations where it was most prevalent. But when I had my restaurants, and we might have talked about this last week or in other contexts, and I did I would do a fundraiser every year with my restaurants and community cooperation to raise money to go into the schools to do HIV and AIDS education, because if you're a 14, 15, or 16-year-old kid, and especially 15 and 16-year-olds, we're starting to experiment with sex and things of that nature, they all think they're indestructible and nothing's going to get me. I'm a strong 15-year-old boy or 16-year-old girl or whatever it's going to be, and they're not concerned about things that are outside of their purview.
Yeah.
And
that's not going to be me.
Right.
I can tell you another, another group that did an amazing job on bringing the AIDS to the common person my age is the TV show Real World.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that.
I know of it. I never watched it.
In their first episode, they had a young gay gentleman who was who had AIDS, living within the house of these other kids, and just you could just tell he had a true heart, and the pain that he was going through, and it was so to me, Magic Johnson in the Real World brought it to a new level. And you were in New York. You were in the heart of it.
I was living in the West Village in 1981, and the AIDS epidemic started in New York in 1980.
Yeah,
give or take a year, a couple of months, and I'm living in the heart of the West Village, which was the heart of the homosexual community in Manhattan, and it was fascinating to see. Yeah. People that you could tell, because at that point in time, the lesions were obvious and things of that nature. But where it was actually a death sentence then, and it was like a 15-drug cocktail with the AZT and everything else, gave you some
that bought you another day.
Correct, exactly. Whereas now, the therapies and the medication that's there, you live a normal life. And it's
well, you still can't ignore it, but you
can't. But it's not a death sentence by any stretch any longer. It is in Africa still to a lot of people.
All right, and when I was going through, there were so many great songs, and we're at the end of our show, and I want to say thank you to everybody out there, and I appreciate all the comments. There's so many great songs out there.
Yeah.
Which song really sticks out to you? Like a song that's associated to a real life situation.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Mine too, 100%.
I mean, I'm a big Gordon Lightfoot fan.
Yeah,
huge.
And I got to see Gordon Lightfoot play at the Volusia County Fairgrounds when I was like 10 years old, and I was like, "That's the guy who sings that." And and
you think about it, and you think it's like it went down in like they call Gitche Gumi, like in 1825. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was longer ago now, but it wasn't. It wasn't the 1800s. It was in the mid 1900s.
Yeah,
it was a big iron
Kathy
carrier.
Just came in with the whole AIDS thing. Philadelphia also was a huge thing, and
a song by
that one movie,
Springsteen,
movie of the year in '93. So, and I think Tom Hanks won an Academy Award for that.
Yes, he did.
Because he won back-to-back. Him and Spencer Tracy are the only two to ever win back-to-back.
Really?
Academy Awards Best Actor. And he could have won. He could have won again in '95. He won '93. He won for Philadelphia. '94. He won for Forrest Gump. '95. He got snubbed.
Was that
for Apollo 13.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think he did an amazing job in Apollo 13.
Absolutely,
so,
they all did.
But Spencer was in 36 and 37.
So it was, what was it? Bad Day at Black Rock, and
I can't remember what
I'm
they
trying to
were.
remember because it wasn't. I'm trying to remember what he would have done. I think it might have been Bad Day at Black Rock, but what was the other? Blake.
Yeah, no, it's we're way over.
Well, but I still want to know.
Yeah, we'll do
Right,
that
do it
off
off the
air.
air,
You guys
yeah.
can look it up on air. Thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate you guys so much. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents, and we'll be back next week.